welcome everyone to Couch Potato. Today I have with me our co-host, obviously Abhishek. Hi Abhishek. And
Hi.
today the guest, the comedian that I have for you guys is Srijan Kaushik. Hi Srijan, what's up?
Hey guys, all good. How are you guys doing?
All good, all good. So first and foremost, I'm a huge fan of you since your first video came out on YouTube. Like as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is something totally different. मतलब उस टाइम पे ऐसा कोई नहीं कर रहा था. Self deprecation jokes kind of a thing. Nobody was doing that. One was that generic waiter face, then there was that kutta wala bit that you did. I mean, those two are my favorites. And I was like, damn, dude.
Thank you.
But the only unfortunate thing was I couldn't catch you live at a show, in these past 4 years that I've been like following your videos and all. So
Well,
I'm
hopefully
looking,
that changes.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it after the pandemic.
For sure.
Yeah. So Abhishek, start with the questions, man. What do you wanna ask first?
Yeah, that's a basic one. Like, how did your stand-up journey start?
How did it start? So, I used to watch a lot of stand-up. At the time, there wasn't really an India scene. So, Jerry Seinfeld, George Carlin, Bill Hicks, and I used to think it's a very cool thing to do. So, I randomly, in my undergrad years, in my college, we had this talent show in my fourth year. My last year, I just thought I'll do 5 minutes and see how it goes. That went okay. Then I moved to Bangalore for work. So there also on and off, like I did maybe 3-4 open mics, then nothing. So I would say seriously started in 2014 when I was in Delhi. So yeah, it's been now 7 years.
All right.
That's quite
all right.
long.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that almost everyone who has come on my podcast has been like in the stand-up scene for like 7-8 years. We had Kel Shrestha, Shankar Chugani and all those guys have been in the scene since 2013-14 too.
Yeah, they're also old timers.
And the best part is like everyone who was who has been the part of stand-up since that time. I think you guys write so well and perform so well, and you guys have a different vibe. When it comes to the people who have started later on, like 2017-18, they have a totally different vibe. They are like we'll tell stories that are related to college and to something that is like a huge element of shared memory works there, right? But I think with you guys, it was purely about the kind of things you write. I mean, with you, it was like taking such simple observations and elevating it to a level where people can laugh. I think that's the vibe I got from you watching your videos and all. Because as I was saying, the bit that you did with the generic waiter face, and then you took it to the bar, and then you said that I actually brought the drinks because. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's an interesting observation. No? Yeah, these days I think the story forms are doing, and I'm quite envious of people who are able to do that. I find it very hard to put together a long story, and I keep fearing that I will lose the audience because I don't think I will have enough interesting things to say. So I'm very envious of those guys who do that, and they all do it very well. But yeah, maybe I don't know if it's a function of if all the old comics do that, but maybe also when we started, the form of comedy also was it. Stage form of stand-up comedy is what we all had known. But in the later years, obviously, as you guys would very well know, now it's a lot of sketches, and now obviously it's condensed even further. But yeah, I didn't realize the point you mentioned that they do more stories and do it very well also.
Yeah. That's true.
What I see is the people who have started on from like 2013 or 14, they like the stage like a lot. They just want to get on the stage and hit their jokes up.
Yeah.
What might be the reason for it?
I don't know if I've seen it only. I see a lot of new comics who are super driven and I mean, they really do a lot for stage time. So I see that a lot, at least in Delhi. I have not really seen other cities. Uh, but I guess all comics are into it. I mean, we all love stage time, and that's what the whole game is about. Mm.
But personally, what is more important to you? Like, is it the material that you write, or is it the way you perform it? Which one is like, which one do you weigh more?
So in my head, I don't really see them like that, but fair enough. There are obviously two components to the form. One is the writing, one is performing. And you'll see people. Some are some are stronger at writing and then get good at
Yes.
performing, and some start from the other side. For me, I don't think like I'm great or good at both, but I was okay at both, and that's kind of been the trend. I've tried to maintain that. I mean, you have to perform.
Yeah.
There is you can't
Of
get
course,
around
of
that.
course,
You
of
could be a
course.
great writer,
Yeah.
and I realized that I also well, maybe it's not evident in the videos, or maybe it is to some extent, but I now am more comfortable doing physical comedy also, and really using more of the stage and being comfortable with physical humor. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but
I get it. I get it.
it's a mix of both.
It's yeah. It's a fair answer, I think, because
Mm.
obviously some of them. I mean, even for me, I am an open micer right now, but yeah, I don't think that I'll ever look at it as two separate components, because it's more like
Mm.
I just want to do it the way I've pictured it in my head, right?
Right.
That's how it is usually. So I get it.
Right.
Nice. We were gonna talk about Clubhouse, but you haven't been there yet. So let me just give you a gist of what it is, okay? And you can tell us what do you think about the app. So
Yeah, that would be cool.
it is an eavesdropping app, okay? And it's like there are like n number of people who are in an audio conference sort of a thing, and those are the speakers, they are the people on stage, and then there are
Right.
the listeners, okay, who cannot speak but they can listen to it, and you can navigate from one room to another, and each room is on a certain topic, or you might even create a room of your own with no topic at all. That's how it works, okay?
Yeah.
So
I've seen
yeah.
snippets of it on. I think people upload clips on YouTube, and a couple of my
Yes.
friends have tried it out. So I know that what it is about a little bit. Yeah.
And it is damn addictive, okay, because and one observation that I personally have made is I came there around 8 days back. Yeah, exactly 8 days back. I installed the app, I went on there, and the first day I was on there, I was up till 5 a.m. on the app, and I was just fucking around in the groups, doing nothing at all, okay? Because the first room I went to, it was like, okay, you can network here, welcome to Clubhouse, this and that. And the second room I went to, we were talking about Johnny Bravo and Ed and Eddie, and it was a very useless but nostalgic conversation. So I thought that
Right.
this is more like an app where you can network, and you can make the best use of it, but there is too much distraction, and now
Yeah.
there are too many stand-up comedians on there, and it's like it has been taken over by stand-up comedians, okay? And whatever room we go to, like if one stand-up comedian or an open micer starts a room, okay, like the next one comes in and the next one comes in, and those three are enough to actually bring the whole community, the stand-up community there. That's how it is. And now Clubhouse is all about stand-up comedians talking about different topics, and also talking openly about controversial stuff that they cannot talk about on stage, and the cancel culture will actually
Okay.
have a repercussion, because of that. So they are actually talking about a lot of controversial stuff. So what is your take on it?
It's interesting. I mean, so Clubhouse doesn't have that problem. Somebody can hear you saying something controversial and make a big deal about it and all that.
Till now, there is no big deal made.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
there is too much work there. It's not just taking the phone and recording. It's more like you have to know how to screen record that shit, and you need to check if the sound is on, and that's when the screen recording will actually be feasible enough for you to complain about that stuff online. That's how it is.
Got it.
So
And sorry, before I answer, what kind of rooms did you enter into, like, when talking about stand-up comics? What kind of discussions?
Okay, so I would like to take that. There were, like, I think day before yesterday, there was a very good room started by Dead Ant. So they were
Okay.
discussing why shouldn't, like, the normal people, why should they date or should not date comedians? So that was one of the coolest rooms that I have found on Clubhouse. And apart from that, there are some boring groups as well. Something like the Tinder version or the Bumble version of Clubhouse is Shoot Your Shot.
Ah,
and the controversial rooms, or more like I'll say the serious topic rooms, are on the lines of like one of them was, can stand-up comedians, I don't remember the topic of the room, but the discussion that was going on was, uh, can stand-up comedians actually talk about edgy stuff on stage and get away with it, or is it that stand-up comedians and rappers and people who actually perform art through their mouth, speaking and singing and all that, so they face the maximum repercussion, because when you see other forms of art and people having controversies other than that, like in Bollywood, Hollywood, and all that, and even stand-up comedians abroad, they might go underground for like a month or two or a year, and then they come back, and there is no hate against them anymore, right? Like no social media trial, as we call it. But
yeah.
in India, if you try to do, edgy comedy or stuff that can offend people easily, like dark humor or political humor, I think it leads to a lot of like overreaction,
Yeah.
right?
True. Also, although my experience has also been mixed on that front in India, but that was more that if you're doing controversial stuff live in a room, I mean, I've heard people say a lot of controversial things and the room is enjoying it to the max. It's the social media aspect of it which, somebody can get offended and then they multiply it by disseminating it. Although in that Indore case, obviously it was somebody in the audience who took offense. So these days it is a little worrying in that sense that you're not sure something which you think is maybe not controversial also can get picked up and create a hue and storm. So that is also happening, but not sure how to answer. Okay, so first about the app, I think I'm from whatever little I know and I've heard from others. To me, it's like any other app. I'm sure it has good uses and you can obviously overdo it. The problem these days is that there is too much content consumption, so and it just feeds your attention deficit. So I suffer from that now as well. I keep jumping from one thing to another, or I have this sudden itch to see my phone every 10 minutes, although there is nothing, but I just keep opening it for I don't know what joy. So, I mean, it may be an old man answer, but I believe that moderation is the key element here, right? If you can extract good use, have fun on the app, then of course, why not? Why would that be a bad thing? But you can't sustain being on it 5-6 hours every day, right? There are other things to do in life, so
I think it's good that you didn't install the app.
Yeah.
I'm usually late also. I'm like a late adopter for most of these things. Even with Facebook and social media, I came onto the platforms much later. So I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but I don't feel the urge to jump into something or try out whatever the latest is. I mean, I'm fine with taking my time, and if I feel like it, then I'll see. But abhi to I don't feel like it. There are too many things going on anyways to consume, so I'm happy with that.
That's actually a positive aspect. I mean, a very positive way to go about it, because if you ask me and Abhishek, I think we have a lot of other things to do. Yes, we agree. But Clubhouse, you know, that's how it is for us. It is the
I think it's also.
it
Sorry,
is that
go on.
expression called fear of missing out, you know, when you
Yeah.
have the app and you have the notifications coming as to this and this guy are talking in the room, join in to listen what they're up to. We're like, why not? Let's jump in to listen what they're up to, you know. Otherwise I'll be missing
Yeah.
out maybe on something. And we never realized that we are actually missing out on a lot of Instagram stuff. So it has been helpful to get off Instagram, but then again, it's a new app that has helped me do that. So I don't think it's it has been useful.
No, yeah, I mean, I get that totally. Also, maybe it's like, how old are you? Well,
I'm 23.
27.
Yeah, so you guys have probably then. So for me, I remember not being on any app for a long time because I guess nobody was at that time.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe for me, I don't feel it. These are all new things for me, right? So I'm just experiencing them. But I think you guys have more been around these things always. That's my impression, at least. So yeah, that's there. I mean, let's see. All these things are good, but it's just that I have figured out that I also in my 20s would have been the same. I would have been on Clubhouse, I'm sure, throughout the night because that's what you are as a person when you're that old. So,
But like being off from social media, does it really helps you for your work and also mental health? Like it keeps your peace.
I don't know about. I mean, mental health. I think is a very strong word, but I think it gives me. When I'm off it, I feel better overall, or when I'm not constantly seeking it, because that behavior is. I don't feel good while doing that.
Yes,
Just
yes.
checking stuff randomly, and it feels like you're addicted to it. So
Yeah.
I don't like that feeling. So when I'm away from that feeling. I feel more in control and much more in balance.
Yeah. Cool.
So
That's
what's
nice.
your persona on stage and off stage? I would really like to know about that. Like how are you how are you as a person on stage, and like what happens to you once you get off on stage? Because I see a completely different person here.
Yeah, maybe that's true. I think also it's better that this question is answered by somebody else, but because my perspective will be different. To me, again, I don't see myself as on stage, off stage, but on stage is obviously the jokes that I've written and something that I'm trying out as material. Off stage, well, I'll tell you what my wife says. She says that I'm funnier in person because then I'm just being myself around her, right? I don't have to think through 100 of things.
Yes.
And I think the ultimate goal, or one of the goals to aspire towards, would be that if I can become more of that person, the off-stage person on stage, and become as comfortable as natural on stage as well, which happens with time, I hope. Yeah, that is something to aim for. Off stage, I love doing bucker, sitting around with comics, and, a clubhouse version of having a just bakchodi. Like I love that absolutely.
Nice. So I wanted to ask you, who's your favorite comic outside and in India? I want to know.
Ooh.
Like, who was your inspiration as such going about it, and who do you like in India the most?
Right. So outside, if we talk first, in terms of inspiration, because these are the people I started watching, which led me to think that, stand-up is really cool. So that would be Jerry Seinfeld, George Carlin, Bill Hicks. And when I got into comedies, I discovered people like Norm Macdonald, Brian Regan later, not initially. And then they became my favorite comics because they are just pure comics. Whereas the others are more like celebrities also.
Yeah.
So then I got into outside comics, there's so many that I really, really like. So Norm would be one, Brian Regan, the three that I mentioned. There is one guy called Jeremy Hotz who wasn't really as famous as the others, but I absolutely love his material. Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K. There's so many. And in the country, I really like Manik style, Manik Mana.
Oh,
Um, I love his comedy. This is not in any particular order, but Manik, Sumit, Anand, Abhishek Upmanyu. I would say these three.
I love
I'm
Sumit
sure there
Anand
are
too.
others also. Huh?
I love Sumit Anand too. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's
I
funny.
mean, he and you have a very similar vibe on stage, you know. You don't like
Ah.
the videos that you have put up. I'm not saying that overall, matlab ekdam same hai, but the videos that you have put up, it's like you don't have to put a lot of energy into it to be funny on stage, you know. Just a small action would actually do it. So he is just like folding his hands and saying stuff
Yeah.
all the time, and you're just like standing like this with a mic in your hand, like literally with a very faint smirk on your face, and in between some of the things were like "Chutiya likha hai," but that's it. That's all the movement you did. So I used to love that style, you know. Because when I used to see others, like, because Biswa was also very famous at that time because he was one of the first people to put up that stand-up comedy video, the format that
Right.
became famous later on. So I have watched Biswa, Kenny, and all those guys. So Kenny used to come with a guitar, and Biswa used to like dance on stage, literally dance on stage, you know, do weird stuff. And then like all of these guys that I watched at that time, they were doing a lot on stage, you know, and their actions also spoke a lot. But you guys, man, you guys just had too much funny material to actually do it. Like even try. You didn't have to try to be funny. That's how it was for me. So I used to love that stuff about you and Sumit a lot.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, Sumit is really funny, and yeah, he has that. So he's also, because we see each other on the scene as well.
Yeah.
He has a very relaxed sort of delivery, always being himself, and
Yeah.
he comes up with really funny stuff as well. So
Nice. And you are you said that you don't really prefer writing anecdotes, right? When it comes to comedy, because your style is different. So you are more of an observational guy, is it? Or like one-liners? Which one do you prefer more?
I again don't think of myself on these lines, but I mean, I try. What I said was I struggle more with story form and narration. I find it hard to follow. I mean, people do that very well. They'll deconstruct the whole thing, and then every second or third sentence is funny.
Yeah.
Keep finding new angles. Maybe it's my journey has been that I get more. I mean, my mind goes towards silly, weird, quirky, maybe short, condensed form things. But these days, I'm also trying out stories and doing some long form. And the one-liner just came as another comic told me that Bill Hicks used to do that. Like if his set would be bombing, then he thought of having some quick-fire one-liners in his set, so that you do 2-3 of those and then you get the room back. So I've heard this from a comic. I don't know if it's true, if Bill Hicks said that or not, but I thought so. That kind of intrigued me, and I would find some weird, quirky one-liners which will pop into my head. So I thought, okay, why not, work on these? So I try and be open to anything. I don't look at it as this is my style or that is my style.
Okay.
And it's 6-7 years also is nothing to see stand-up in terms of people who get good at it. They take many more years. So
Yes.
I still think I am like a novice in many ways. So just figuring it out.
Nice.
But do you really think writing one-liners is difficult because your whole joke and the punchline is only in that one line? So
I I find it if I sit down and write one-liners, then I don't think I can come up with material like that. But it's usually something weird that I observe or see, and it just at the time. But I think writing one-liners is tough because the whole point of taking fluff out of your material, condensing it, that's what it is all about. So one-liner has to be really perfect for it to land and be short and also work very well. So I think from that point of view, it seems tough at least.
Yeah, man.
and what's your take on deadpan style?
Yeah, man. It whatever. I don't have any takes on styles as such. I find lots of styles funny for various reasons. As
Okay.
long as it's suiting your personality, you're not forcing it, and people can tell, right, if somebody is organically like that, or maybe it seems forced.
Yeah, yeah,
So when it's organic and going with the personality and the jokes are good, then of course, why there's nothing to complain about.
yeah. That is true. I think the crowd has evolved a lot over time. You know, earlier it used to be, I think, easier to make people laugh, and now it's like, okay, I have watched stand up for like even the audience is like very experienced in terms of the material that they have come across now. So, do you find that very visible with your audience? Like you have to write more. I think very great stuff now as compared to what you used to write earlier when it comes to having the same amount of laughs in a room.
I've not thought about it like that, but it's my writing form is changed more because of my own perspective, where I feel I need to get better at things, or naturally I'm uh, moving towards a certain direction of writing and performing. In terms of audience, I always think I've never seen them as okay, now they are not evolved or now they are evolved. It depends on what room you get, man.
Yeah.
You could the same thing works much better the day before, and then on a particular day maybe something is off and the feel is not great, or which is what the thrill about the whole thing is. Also, you never know
Yeah.
what's going to work, how much it's going to work. Audience, I've seen there are all kinds of audiences. I feel I have seen a lot of comics come who do say very low hanging fruit jokes and they kill
Uh,
really well, and then it'll be followed up by a guy who's doing what you may call deep jokes or
a
Yes.
tight
whatever.
set. Yeah.
And that is also working fine. So I have not really seen. It's not really one audience, right? It's made up of
Yeah.
individuals. So
That's true. That's true.
you never know what's going to click.
And what about crowd work? Like, have you been trying crowd work lately? Because that has, I think, been the talk of the town nowadays. Because a lot of people have been trying crowd work. Rahul Subramanian was
Yeah.
one of the first ones to put a crowd work video out, and then now people have been like, okay, let me try this, and all of that was inspired from outside, I think, because they used to do a lot, like they shifted to crowd work around, I think, in 2015-16 more, when it was popular
Okay.
there, and now here stand-up comedians started to adopt that sort of, nowadays. So what, like, are you trying that too, or you are sticking to your form of writing?
I am so far sticking to it. I mean, I've not felt the urge to just do crowd work. Also, I mean, kudos to whoever does it, man. I still I get quite petrified by crowd work. If it were up to me, I would just
I agree. Yeah.
do my jokes and not talk to anybody and get off stage. But I had this problem initially. Also, I used to fear hosting a lot. I was not very comfortable with it. But then you have to. The more uncomfortable things you try, get out of your zone, you have to do that. There is no way around it. So slowly, I started doing hosting. Usme bhi initially I used to have my jokes ready for in hosting also. It wasn't very extempore. And then I got comfortable with it. Now I still don't think I'm good at it. It's not really my comfort zone, but I'm much better than I was when I started. So,
Yeah.
but crowd work seems like it's not even a thought that has come to me. I mean, if it happens naturally over a period of time, fair enough. But right now, I'm focused on just doing jokes and
Okay. But
so,
I think you have been in this I mean, what can I say, in the stand-up scene for like 7 years now. So when you see the audience, okay, and since funny thoughts are not something that are very difficult to pop up in your brain when you see someone or when you are observing something. So don't you feel like someday you might want to just throw it all out on the audience. Like that's what they do in crowd work, right?
Yeah.
As soon as they observe something quirky or something weird, as you said, they just blurt it out as soon as possible, and then they build up on that. That's what they do in crowd work, you know. So don't you think that someday you might want to like भड़ास निकालने type का हो जाएगा?
Yeah, for definitely. I mean, I have nothing against the format at all. It's just
Yeah.
my comfort level will increase slowly with it.
Yeah.
Also, my experience with crowd work is when it's natural, it's not planned, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't plan crowd
of
work.
course.
So
Yeah.
if somebody does something, you pick up on it. And there have been some shows where if I'm hosting, then if the flow is good and people are enjoying it, I've done maybe 15 minutes of just talking to people, things like that.
Okay.
But not with a planned. The plan was to do 5 minutes of crowd work and then jokes, but it just happened that day that it was going fine and
Okay.
the vibe was good.
Nice.
What is your worst bombing story, if you would like to share, and how was your mood after that? In the initial
Sure,
years.
there have still been. They happen. Okay, regarding the mood, it's always the same. You feel really bad for a while at least. And I think my worst bomb was we got this, let's say, I would guess it's a corporate inquiry, but it was for somebody's 90th birthday.
90th.
90.
Wow.
So the daughter-in-law, who was like 60 herself, had planned this for her father-in-law, and it was somebody I'm not sure, a very big industrialist, but the brief given to us was they live in a very posh area of Delhi, industrialist, multi-generation, wealthy family, and you could just tell from the house and all that. So we didn't really know to what extent. Like I just googled their name while on the way to the gig, and I found out like, oh, these guys have like articles about them in business magazines and things like that.
Yeah.
So like, okay, it should be interesting, and we were given a clear brief that stick to clean comedy, no political
Clean comedy,
and all
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I thought I had that material with me. So when we reached the home, it's a lavish home, and cars started coming in, and it was a family event to celebrate this person's 90th birthday. The catch was the daughter-in-law had not told anyone, so it was a surprise.
Okay.
So all the people came there expecting, birthday party and drinks and dinner, and then they were like, okay, there is a surprise event. So they're like, we don't know what's going on. And, nobody knows me. Like, I'm not a famous guy or, if it's somebody recognizable, then people get excited about it. But it's like some guy standing in their lawn. It's like, okay, he's going to do some jokes now. And there was an opening act who the brief was not to do political stuff, but I think he just toned down a little bit of the political stuff, but he ended up doing political stuff. So he was a Muslim. He's a Muslim, so he would do jokes like, मैं metro में बैठता हूँ तो मेरे आसपास लोग उठ के चले जाते हैं. And something about throwing a bag under somebody's seat and पता नहीं क्या, like it was. Which is fair. I mean, maybe it works really well, but he started with that and he's got nothing for 5 minutes. It was like cricket sounds throughout. And also before he came on, they thought because they don't know like what is stand-up comedy. So they said, our granddaughter will also sing. So she was 7-8 years old, and she had made this. She had made the song for the person whose birthday it was. So she sang that, which was fine, but it was just like, oh, now we're going to do comedy after this. So then the opening act bombed for 5 minutes. Then I went up there and I bombed for 25 minutes. And I forgot that my jokes are not for this kind of audience. So I was doing autos and metro, and these guys are coming in Porsches and Mercedes. And blank looks everywhere, and I see the person whose birthday it is, and he just has this blank look on his face that he just कि मतलब उसको I don't know, he was not expecting it, then it just happened, it was not good. And I felt horrible for him. I'm like, this is his 90th birthday. Why is he celebrating this, looking at me and hearing my shitty jokes which are not working? And then I checked at the daughter-in-law. She had this face because she was like, okay, I also have fucked up. She then realized it. Okay, I am also going to face the brunt for this. So wrapped up in 20-25 minutes. I got maybe 2 chuckles, and they left, and we didn't even get paid for it.
Oh shit, man.
Srijal would have been like, यार मेरे को केक खाने में भी guilty लग रहा
Oh, I didn't stop. I was just like, bye. I told her thank you for having us, and immediately we left because it was very awkward and horrible. And then next day, the people who had organized told us that they don't want to pay, which was not justified at all. But again, and that the daughter-in-law was getting jokes from her family next day. कि I hope आपने आज कुछ surprise नहीं plan किया हमारे
Oh my god.
So I felt a little bad for her, but since she didn't pay, I was like, oh.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
man.
one of the worst ones.
You would have felt like instead of a performance, it was like a family gathering, like आपका ही family gather हुआ है, and someone knows that you try open mics, and you're like, hey, इसको stand up करने को बोलो, and then you go on stage and nobody
Yeah.
laughs. That must have been the
Yeah.
feeling.
Exactly, it was like an idea which looked very good on paper to her, and then slowly it started falling, and it descended into something like unpleasant and horrible in 30 minutes. So yeah,
And any heckling stories? The worst
actually
heckling.
happens.
The
I
worst
haven't.
heckling.
I don't have a very bad. I've never not had very bad heckling experiences. Thankfully, it's always in fun and jest. Sometimes
Okay.
people don't know that they are maybe watching stand-up comedy for the first time, or they're very new to it. So they don't know that you also have to stay quiet. Like they'll participate in it, and especially in Delhi, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So they'll
I've
be like
heard this.
pointing. They अपने friends को बता रहे होंगे, oh ये वाला सही था in the middle of the show. And then you have to tell them that you should be quiet. I had one weird experience where I have a cow joke, a beef ban joke, and this one guy in the audience took offense to it, and he just said that cows are. मतलब he became passionate about it, so I was just like, okay, I'm just doing a joke. That's all. But it wasn't like horrible or anything.
Yeah, I get it. I think your audience knows that he's a nice guy, kind of a vibe आता है उनको कि this guy is a nice guy. He mostly has clean comedy, so why even say anything in between? Let's just enjoy and go back. That's the kind of audience you have, I think.
Actually, now that you say it, it's an interesting point. The shows that I've performed till now, it's not really been for my audience. Even after my videos, I think they've done okay, but it's not like I can fill a room on my own. It's a very small. I still need some more maybe videos for that to happen, to have my audience.
Yeah.
But this is, performing in Canvas Laugh Club, where it's a lineup show.
Yeah.
People come. Some people don't know who the artists are. They come because of Canvas, because Canvas had a very strong brand. So it's fun in that room where they don't know what to expect from you, but they end up having a good time.
Yeah.
That's a nice feeling.
Got it. Nice. Oh man, I literally can't wait to catch you, on a live show because I just love you, man. I just love your comedy.
Thank you.
I hate the Zoom format for the very reason that it doesn't have that impact, I mean, it's not on the comic, it's on the audience that because of which
Yes.
it's not the same impact.
Ah,
Even if there are like 50 people in the room, which is a great number for a live audience, on Zoom, it's like half of them would have their cameras off, and mics off. And
Yeah.
half of them who might be laughing, have like all of them are overlapping, right? The laughs are just overlapping, so you will not hear all of
Yeah.
them to an extent which you want to. So it doesn't create that impact that stand-up comedy has in a live room, I think. So I think I hate Zoom, so I have been avoiding open mics. Honestly, it's bad, but I have been literally avoiding them as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, nothing can replace a live room, but
Yeah.
I have actually enjoyed Zoom shows as well. It has been a great help in these times. There's no
Yeah.
other way to do
Yeah.
comedy. So, I mean, we are grateful for the fact that Kuch To Hai. And it's been not bad actually. I mean, I'm able to test material as long as that happens. I get some sense of what is working, what is not.
Yeah.
Then it's fine. But of course, a real live room is a live room.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one funny question. Like, what is your this thing when you are you nervous before you get on stage? Because for my open mic, when I went, I was just thinking whether my fly is open or not.
Ah.
So like that, any nervous things that you think before you go on stage? I was really
So
scared.
I always go to the loo before I go on stage. I have this sudden urge to pee, even if I don't know if that happens to you guys, but I have to go to the loo. Even if I had peed just 15 minutes ago, I have to go before I go on stage just to go through that experience. So I usually then check my zip then, so that doesn't happen with me. But no, nervous for sure. Every time. Even if an open mic or Zoom show or any show, definitely nervous. But I don't have like tics or any particular nervousness as such. I'm just overall generally.
Yeah. So, any other questions, Abhishek, that pop up in your mind?
I'm just thinking.
Because I think I'm done because I've asked pretty much everything I wanted to know about you and your experience as a stand-up comic. So yeah.
And you are you performing like any shows that are coming up on Zoom so that we can after he uploads and if there are any other new viewers they can watch that. Like
Yeah,
if they see the video.
I mean, I keep. I'm signing up for mics as and when they come or as and when I get to know about them. So I keep them updated on my Instagram. I don't really have track, but these are mics, not really shows. 8-minute spots, 10-minute spots. So I'm doing those kinds these days.
Got it. I'll put some links
So
in
I
my
think-
description whenever the video is out, like for the next show.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks.
So I think if the audience follows you on Instagram, they'll get to know where you'll be performing. As simple as that.
Yeah, that's the best way to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who's your closest friend in the circuit? That is the last question I want to ask.
Oh, that's a good question. We hang in Delhi. I hang out a lot with as in the most that I hang out with comics is with Manik, Sumit. I don't know if you guys know Prakhar Pramod.
I've heard of him, but I don't think I've
Yes.
watched
Yeah.
perform yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so we three of us. Then sometimes Raghav Mandava. Which will be
Mandava. Raghav Mandava has
Yeah.
been so active on Clubhouse, dude. Bhavi Shalani and Raghav Mandava have been one of the most active stand-up comics on Clubhouse because
Clubhouse is perfect for him because he doesn't let anybody talk.
Raghav will
He just
start a
goes.
room where he's like, what is it? Unemployed and Vela comedians talking and avoiding real work. Unemployed and Vela comedians talking and avoiding something. Like that's the kind of rooms he makes every day. And he comes up and starts talking.
Oh yeah, he's great and he knows a lot. He knows a lot about. But so Sumit had a perfect description for Raghav.
Yeah.
It's a sort of an inside joke, but I don't think Raghav will mind it. He called.
I don't think
he called
Raghav
him
will
the-
see this.
No, if he gets to know that he can, but I don't know how he'll react, but it's fine. So Sumit said Raghav is the Noam Chomsky of inconsequential things,
Oh man.
which I think is perfect. He goes very deep into lots of things, but then in the end you're like, "Arey, ye isko kyun pata hai?" But he knows a lot.
What do you think about Gaurav Kapoor, by the way? I think like that guy is so funny. एक बार क्लब हाउस पे क्या
Oh,
हुआ
yeah.
कि people were talking about like Raghav Mandava का ही room था and he was asking every comic that was coming up, what is your favorite English word? Okay. then Sumit was done and then it was Gaurav's turn. Okay. So जब भी गौरव से कुछ पूछ रहे थे, he was just going yeah. And he was 4 pegs down, okay? He was 4 pegs down. And all he was saying is, yes, I agree. That's all he was doing. And then it's his turn. And then he says, my favorite English word is flabbergasted. That's how he says it. And Sumit Anand goes like, okay, I think I should leave the room now. Because it was his bit, right?
Yeah.
And then सुमित सेज गौरव ऐसा लग रहा है तू किसी अहाते पे बैठा है. You know what ahata is, right, Srijit?
No.
So ahata is basically there'll be a dhaba and right beside the dhaba there's a liquor store. So the dhaba allows you to take that liquor inside and you can have whatever chakna you want inside.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pseudo bar kind of a thing. So Sumit says that in Hindi to Gaurav as like Gaurav ऐसा लग रहा है तू किसी ahate में अभी enter कर रहा है. And Gaurav is like, please talk to me in English, okay? I know English. I am cool on Clubhouse. That's what he says. And then he goes on to say, another favorite word of mine in English is pragmatic. Oh man.
The few times that I've hung out with him, he is one of those comics, the way he is off stage is what you see on stage.
Yes.
And I envy that a lot because I feel it's so natural for him to just shift into the stage mode. He's very good at crowd work, his material is also very good, and that's how he is off stage also.
Yeah. He can be funny like this. That's how he is.
Instantly,
Yeah.
Yeah, another
Instantly
incident. You're telling another
And
incident.
no, another person I in the comics that I hang out with and who's really funny off stage and on stage is Pratyush.
Oh my God, I'm a huge fan of Pratyush. My God. I have been trying to call him to the podcast, but he's like, नहीं यार अभी तो material ही tight कर रहे हैं बाद में देखेंगे. I'm like ठीक है. Whenever you are free. But I love him. Like his style of comedy is also like crazy good because I know that the kind of a person he is. I've talked to some comics who know him. There is a guy called Badal Sharma, if you know, in the Delhi circuit. So so he's an acquaintance now. So I have been talking to him for a while, and he is like Pratyush Chaubey is one of the most down to earth people, first of all, and second, like the way he talks to people is the same way he talks on stage. It's just the difference is punchlines and natural conversation. That's the only difference that he has. Personality wise, there's no difference. So
really funny guy, very nice guy also. And so the thing that I mean, obviously you guys would know Canvas is shut down. The things we really miss when we talk about it is the green room.
Yeah.
So,
Man.
You'll have so I still have a day job, but it would be say Friday to Sunday. You have shows lined up at Canvas. 2 shows on Friday, Saturday, 1. So you have 5 or 6 shows even sometimes. And it's like the best time. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And if the lineup is something that like comics you're friends with and you enjoy hanging out with, that's the best time. So you reach the green room, talk shit, in between sets, hang out till late. That was the best time. So we realized after Canvas that we took green rooms for granted.
No, and especially like you 4 of your friends, when you kill the room, that is like such a night, right, for you guys.
Yeah, and everybody's happy also, right?
Yeah. उसके बाद तो I think party करने के लिए beer पीने चले जाते होंगे सारे चारों.
Actually, Canvas Green Room was very generous in that regard. We didn't have to leave the green room. You could do everything there.
That's nice.
And just go on stage, come back, and sometimes comics would come and visit you also.
All right.
It's fun time.
Nice. So I think it's time for you to I do something else because it's 2:28. So.
Sure. I mean, if you guys have, I can maybe take 1 or 2 questions more. If you don't have, then yeah.
I have one last one. No, now it's like now I'm wired in.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Please.
The thing is, do you keep your comic layer on all the time? Like, have to be funny or something like that. So it's just that off stage, you're just a normal person. and you're just observing things, and then after some time you go and like, okay, this thought was funny, let's write it down and perform. Or like all the time you keep that like, you know, abhi spontaneous joke karna hi hai. Does that happen to you, or how is it?
That thought may have crossed that mind, but it's an unsustainable way to live. And be like that in real life. Or I think of it as the other way. The more like I am in my real life, if I can be like that on stage, that would be the route to go. But I have just realized over a period of time, you get more comfortable being yourself. I think that's what I see in comics that I like also. Even off stage, they are being themselves. The people that I mentioned, if I'm hanging out with them, I don't have to worry about, you know, is this going to leak or somebody is going to get offended, and social media and all that. You can say whatever's on your mind, they get it, and if it's funny, they laugh at it. Otherwise, you can talk about. It doesn't have to be about jokes, but it ends up being, and this is what my wife told me, that when comics get together, the non-comic can feel it, that it just becomes jokes.
Yeah. I think that is something we have experienced on Clubhouse. Whenever all of us open micer and stand-up comedians take over a room, every other audience is like, "Ho gaya bancho, hamara ho gaya." We leave. You guys, you know, go ahead with it. That's all.
Yeah, that's bound to happen.
Yeah.
It's like Mayank will tell one punchline, uske upar fir another punchline, fir punchline.
Yeah.
It's not jokes,
And
but
then,
like we'll be roasting each other.
And people keep tagging
go
conversations also. Somebody will say something, then this guy will think of something else.
Yeah. and it's like, if one of my jokes, I mean, I'm an open micer. I'm nobody in front of the people who join my room sometimes, okay, on Clubhouse. So they just go like, Mike, tu chup hi rehna, bolta kyun hai? And then, man, the whole room starts laughing, and that will keep coming up. Is like, if someone says that I'm just mediocre at my job, it's like, oh, so you're Mayank in an open mic. That's how it is. So it keeps coming up. Yesterday this happened with me. So I can totally understand what you're talking about. And man, I hope me and Abhishek one day can have that kind of an experience with you guys.
Yeah.
Of course, it will happen. Why not?
So, yeah.
And if you're joining
Anytime,
Clubhouse, let us know.
Oh, sure. If I do that, I'll let you know. And
Yeah.
whenever you guys are in Delhi, hit me up.
For sure. I'll actually be coming to Delhi pretty soon because I am working there. Like it's work from home now, but probably as soon as this curfew thing and all goes out, after that I'll be moving to Delhi, and I hope we meet.
Oh yeah, we definitely will then, because you will come to we'll meet each other at open mic.
Where do you stay in Delhi? Like what area?
I stay in Hoskas, which is south.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Srijan, for talking to us and agreeing to come to my podcast.
Yes.
Fanboy moment था मेरे लिए. Moment क्या fanboy time ही था मेरे लिए पूरा.
No, thank you for having me. I enjoyed our conversation. So yeah, it was fun.
That's what actually we are trying to cover, those who are upcoming comics or whatever they are trying to make it, or we feel that okay, this guy has the reach, but so that's what main what is this?
The main aim of what we are doing is
our podcast.
It's more like
great.
It's like there are a lot of comics whom people know, but not enough people do. They need to know about these comics. And maybe one day we can get to a point where I have enough subscribers to tell people that, overall. So right now I'm just trying to tell as many people as I can, and then it'll just be natural, like,
No, thank you for that. Also, it will happen with time, I think. Don't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
It can happen. If it happens soon also and you're not ready for it, that's also not. Let it happen.
We are totally ready for the money, dude. Oh man. So
and that's why we don't keep our podcast like short 1:15. ये reel नहीं चाहिए हम लोग को, 1 घंटे का ही चाहिए.
It makes sense because even 1 hour sometimes flies by.
If
That's
it's a
just happened.
if it's a great conversation, I think, and it's a great content, I think people will watch it.
Watch it,
It's just
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I have to reach the right audience is all. So I'm just taking my time with it. That's all.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you become famous, then obviously the channel will rise.
Yeah, wait for that's gonna take some time. It's not happening anytime soon. If at
Man.
all.
Well, thank you so much, Srijan, for coming to the channel, and thank you, Abhishek, for co-hosting this.
Yeah.
I hope we can call you on for some live streams and have fun, man. Because
Sure.
I've gathered many names now, and I can play Among Us with 9 of you guys together. So that's how it is. So I hope we have
Good.
a
It's
lot of
good
fun
to be here.
going ahead. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, and take care and stay safe.
Yeah,
Yep,
same
yep.
to you. Thanks, man.
And people who have come to watch the podcast, thank you once again to come to my channel. And people who are new, subscribe करो यार, free है, like करो, share करो जितना कर सकते हो. I'm bringing you such awesome conversations, guys. Like अंदर की बातें ये सब circuit की. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Couch Potato signing out. Meet you next time with another guest. Thank you.
Yeah.